Welcome back to another video. So you're gonna recognize all these gestures, and beside them I'm just drawing my character just based off the gesture, and I kind of change it here and there in some of the poses. I kind of knew I was going to whenever I drew them, but yeah, that's the basic idea. And I went a little wild with it and made way too many gestures, and I couldn't finish them even though I tried. So, we did our best. So it won't be too long for you guys, but it's been a while since I made this video for me. So it's kind of weird to be back watching it. But yeah, this is my character Rust again. He's actually still my current obsession. So that's cool. And I haven't been able to draw too much, so it's actually kind of nice to see. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing his proportions. He's a spindly guy. He's got very wide shoulders. He's got long, thin legs. Very tall. He has very dark hair. And occasionally I incorporate those little dirt babies that I'm drawing right there on his leg. Yeah, the basic idea is I go through and I fix the proportions in the pose based off of my character, and then I go back over the top and slightly clean it up to what I would consider almost pencils if I was doing the comic, so just the in-between space between like a super sketch thumbnail kind of thing versus what I would do between the inks. So, yep. Some of these are a little tighter than maybe I would go into for that, but I was kind of getting my bearings. And man, it was fun. I don't know why. I don't do this very much. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I really don't do this a lot, and I definitely don't do it digitally, which I think I mentioned in the gesture video. Some of these aren't super fabulous winners, I'm gonna be totally honest, but actually seeing them all together made me feel pretty happy that I had done it. And I don't know how to explain it. I have a video that I made a long time ago with my necromancer character, and I ended up drawing that, and it was pretty much all real time. I only cut out small things where I was doing something else on the side or whatever. And I always really liked that video. I knew it wasn't like perfect or whatever. It's actually my most disliked video and my most viewed video that I ever made, but I have a personal connection to that one, and it might just be because I just sat down and drew my character for all of that time, and it just felt very, I don't know, I felt very connected to it. So I had kind of the same feeling doing all of these. So even watching back the video, on the parts that I messed up and weren't the best, I couldn't even be totally mad at myself for them because I just had a lot of fun. It was really good. And around that time I was drawing a lot more. Now I'm working a lot. Logged an 11-hour day a few days ago. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to draw. I get back really late, and my hands are pretty sore, so I'm not going to injure them just to log drawing hours. I usually kind of sketch when I have a minute, but outside of that I haven't done anything intense. This one might be the one I have the most regrets about, this pose right here. I think I lost it when I didn't follow through with that arm, which is kind of weird for me because I almost always follow through with the arm, and maybe I should have just kind of gone a little closer to the pose that I drew, like the gesture on the edge there. But that's okay. I don't really hate it. It's just that I see where I made a mistake, and if I was to go back and redraw it, I think I'd do that. I think I would do that. Yeah, I feel like this kind of shows a little bit more of the sketchy part of my drawings. Maybe you see it a lot more whenever I'm, drawing on paper, but I think whenever you do something digitally, especially because you can actually see my hand there in the corner, it shows a little bit more of the looseness. I know some people have said that they like how clean my sketches are, or the tighter sketches and stuff. But I think maybe it's because it gets to this point and you forget about the scribbles underneath on paper because it's very light. And I think on here you'll actually be able to see more of that. I do scribble. I absolutely scribble. When I'm a little bit more warmed up, I can do less of it and I can be a little tighter, and it's not as bad. But I enjoy I enjoy the messiness quite a bit. It took me many years to learn how to sketch because when I was a kid, people kind of gatekeeped a lot of information on drawing and thought everyone should do it the hard way. So there wasn't a lot of instruction out there. And what I did see was a lot of people saying that, oh yeah, you had to draw exactly what you wanted to the first time and get it right. And that was kind of difficult, but that's how I thought I was supposed to learn, or it was cheating or whatever. And no, it's not. So, not in my book, which is the only book I really need to follow. And anyone needs to follow your own book, guys. So, yeah, I went ahead and taught myself how to sketch, and it was really difficult, and I struggled a lot with that, and it's my favorite thing to do now. So, messiness is awesome. To a point, obviously. I still kind of get what I need out of it, or else it's just kind of a waste of lines. Which, you gotta get to that point. I just thought I'd show on the side there what I was doing with my layers and how I was putting them in folders. I wanted to do the one with the ball cap. I draw ball caps quite often, believe it or not. When I was a kid, I taught myself how to draw them because I thought the brim was really difficult to get. So I taught myself how by just drawing a ton of ball caps from different angles and breaking them down into shapes and whatever. So Russ does wear a ball cap. He's originally from Texas, and so he also has an accent. Just fun fact. And yeah, really wanted him to have a ball cap, so I did choose this pose off of quickposes.com. So yep, I thought, heck yeah, this is my excuse to draw a cap, and I took it. I changed the pose a little bit, and I probably could have pushed it, but Rust is very subdued, so whenever I was drawing these, I was thinking of how I should change them. Some of them I chose based off of how close they were to maybe how I would think he would emote. But other ones I really wanted to try to challenge myself by adjusting them to how I think he would react. In a lot of cases, he doesn't feel emotions to the level that he would, how would I explain this? Like open his mouth, but he does gnash his teeth and things like that. So I would think more he would have like a tight mouth. So these are the kinds of thoughts that I would have while thinking of him emoting, and I tried to play off of that. He pretty much always wears sleeves because he went through a sliding glass door when he was a kid, and he has scars along his forearms from trying to protect his face. So yeah, I always try to remember to give him sleeves, so he wears long sleeve t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and jackets and sweaters, and you get the picture. So whenever it came to the jeans and things as I was going, and even clearly the feet, I was starting to simplify a little bit more. When it comes to the fingers, you can see that I tried to draw out the fingers in most of these, But that one that you see on the left side that's mostly just lines for the fingers, I think I do actually draw them later on, is kind of how I draw fingers, or in that gesture sketch on the edge where I just make them little spikes. That's kind of how I draw them quickly. So it usually gives me all the information that I need for what the hand is doing and whatever. So yeah, it's all about getting that basic idea. And I like adding these tones on things just to separate different elements out. I really liked this pose. Except for that leg on that one side. Even when I drew it, I was thinking, man, I don't want that one. That's not gonna work. That's not how he would sit. And ended up adjusting it. First I tried to draw it, and I don't really know why when I knew I wanted to change it, but whatever. It's fine. I don't keep that. I don't keep that. I just change it. So I was really glad that I was able to get the sound of me drawing on the screen. It was really loud in my house for quite some time during all of this. Ooh, that leg looks so broken. Yeah, quite a while. Lots of noise. It was Mother's Day, so people came to our house and unexpectedly, and that made it a little bit difficult to edit. But then they ended up leaving, and my dad had an emergency at one of the places that we all kind of help out at and work, which I mentioned in the other video. A steer got attacked by a wolf. It was okay. It was only lightly, and they just needed to get it in so it could get doctored and taken care of so nothing would happen to it. So yeah, I actually had some quiet time to draw, and that made editing the rest of this much easier. Yeah, when I'm not sure about the finger direction, these are kind of the shapes that I use. I like to draw the knuckles first, if I can, the knuckles on the hand. I think that it's so much easier before you start on those dreaded phalanges to actually just draw out the knuckles so that I know kind of where the finger joints are sitting. And he's got long fingers, so I'm kind of playing with that and figuring it out. And I want them to be a little blunt. And then if I had properly colored this, I would have stained his fingers, because he works with like a lot of vehicles and things, so they're kind of stained with grease. Yeah, I liked this pose quite a bit. Because of who Rust is and how his life is, it just really worked. Just really worked, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. So sometimes whenever the little part with my hand drawing is moved over, you might be able to see that it comes up with like a color history thing, so all the colors that I've used recently will come up there. So that's how I'm keeping all of my colors the same without having something to color pick from. And I'll just click on that and go through them. For anyone who uses Clip, you probably know, and it's redundant information. This pose is one that most of my siblings liked. Fancy little kicking pose. I'm sorry about the horrible creaking of my fan. It's been terrible lately. Man, when I was first watching this back, I'm like, why did I give him a boob? And I did not realize that it was I drew his kneecap first. When I'm doing these, I'm kind of on autopilot. I'm really paying attention. Those little thumbnails on the edge are something that I do without gesture, just from my mind. Whenever I'm drawing them, I draw them very simply and very small. And whenever I do a bigger pose, it helps me so much. So that's kind of why I ended up doing it that way. but actually drawing from a picture, which was, man, like I said, that was just different. I had done it on my paper, and I had some gestures that I had done this one day, and I hadn't been able to fill the page because I wasn't feeling super well. So I went back to it a different day because there was just some paper sitting there, and why not draw on it? And I was just taking the poses because of my obsession with Rust, and I was just drawing Rust's version of those, and I was actually going to do that on paper again and did it digitally instead. Sorry for the redundancy. If you watched my other video, you've heard all of that before, but if not, I figured I'd just put that information in there. I really like giving him his, like, duck fluff on the bottom. Maybe it looks a little bit more like a chicken tail. Yeah, I find him very fun to draw. One thing that I need to practice more is figuring out his nose in different views, because, yeah, it's a little sharp, and I haven't drawn a nose like that on a character that I draw consistently since Vinya, which is the first comic my sister and I did. It was a short comic, and not the best, but, you know, it's okay. And we did that on Tapas, and yeah, I can't remember, was it like 52 pages or something? For some reason my brain is always like, it was 30 pages, and I'm like, I think it was like 52. And that was in 2019, I think. But yeah, I found this really, really helpful, actually. I felt a little more connected to him. Obviously, I've been drawing him so much, or I had been drawing him so much at the time, that whenever I went to do this, I had a bit more of a handle on some of his base proportions, and I still was not greatly consistent. But you can tell they're all the same character with, you know, a couple hints here and there. This one I changed as well, because my first thought was I can have him reaching over and either pulling something from a bag or his pocket, like I can adjust it for that. And my brain was like, that's too easy a solution, let's do something else, because it likes to torture me. So yeah, I did go with something else, and it does for a little while look like he's pooping in the woods, but it is what it is. Also, he's not, in case you were curious, pooping in the woods. Yeah, if I would just adjust them early on to what I was already thinking, I wouldn't have to go through the iterations. But for some reason, with some of them, I was still attempting to do the pose, even though, like the exact gesture, even though I knew I didn't like it and I didn't want to. Because I don't actually, as I've said, I don't actually draw from gestures for my drawings. It's not for any other reason that I'm like kind of lazy and I don't really like looking for poses all the time. I didn't practice anatomy and trying to learn like drawing from imagination so that I could continue looking for pictures for everything all the time. That was what I wanted to avoid, and not really because I think it's cheating or something, but because it saves time in the long run. Like felt like I needed to spend the time so that I could use that time wisely later on, if that makes any sense at all. So I am kind of stubborn. I'm very stubborn. It's not kind of, I'm an extremely stubborn individual. And so if I can try to figure out a pose, and if I can just base it off shapes, base it off anatomy, base it off stuff that is just kind of in my memory, I tend to stick with that. I'd rather look at it and say, oh, does it look like it makes sense, or does it feel okay to my brain? And if it does, then I will roll with it. I very rarely look for pictures, but I feel like when I did this, I could see so many uses for doing poses I wouldn't necessarily do, thinking of story in a way I wouldn't necessarily consider it, and learning about my character. And you have these thoughts in your head about your characters, if you're that type of person. If you're not, that's totally chill. And I don't think that you realize them. Like, you don't bring them to the forefront until you're kind of like put through your paces. So you take a picture and start thinking about your character being in the shoes of this person instead, and not necessarily that person specifically, but the pose that they're in and the thoughts that that pose makes you think they'd be having. Like, curled up pose. Oh, maybe they're scared, or maybe they're cold, or, whatever fits your character. I think most people will have an automatic thought, or at least it'll begin a thought, or even a story moment, or whatever. And that was big for me with this one. Like, when would I draw Russ jumping like this? And when would I have drawn him in this pose, or from this angle, or, like, then whenever I did it, I felt more connected to his character, and I felt like I knew him better because of it, and I had a slightly better understanding of his body and how I could bend it and how I could move it. And I ended up having more poses in my memory because I feel like it solidified a lot of those gestures for me because I'd used them for something that I was emotionally connected to. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Did I even explain that well? I'm not like super good at explanations, but yeah. I just thought it was really helpful, and I could see myself immediately afterwards using that to get a handle on other characters. I started thinking about all of these characters that I had drawn for like comic pages over the years since 2019. And usually I just draw them over and over and over again in different scenarios that I think up. And that's my practice. And I'll do it for hours. Like, I enjoy it. It makes me happy. But yeah, when it came to this, it was so much more because I had to adapt it. And I just thought, man, if I had done that for those characters back in the day, how much better I maybe could have been at consistency and controlling proportion and controlling a story moment, and how much more loose and alive and stuff things could be. And yeah, I really want to go back to the color comic, and I want to take each of the guys. I can kind of do this with Grend because he's just one of my favorite characters, and he's so little and round, and I just really enjoy him. And whenever I first made him, I did base him off of very simple shapes, and I wanted him to be very sweet, and so I used a lot of roundness for him. Yeah, and then the other two guys, they're not too bad, but at the time, it definitely was not a strength for me, and I'm not saying that it is now, but it's better than it was, and I just felt like, man, I could have done this. By the way, this brush is Kamitex. Kami is paper, so it's just a paper texture brush, and I don't know where I got it because I have a lot of brushes. I'm always testing brushes, but I really like that one for sketches. But yeah, I think whenever I do find myself with some time again, I kind of got left behind today because I hurt my back at my, I'm just gonna make this easier, my landscaping job and my ranch job. So my landscaping job, I kind of hurt my back. I actually don't know how, once again, and it's been uncomfortable, and I can't really bend down, so I was still going to my ranch job anyway to help out. I don't do like too much anyways. I mean, we do go and check on cattle and things like that, so I am not really getting out except for to do gates. So yeah, I got left behind today. I got left behind to try to make me sit and heal my back. So I had a little bit of time, but yeah, whenever I find myself with more time, like proper time, I'd really like to sit down and go through the characters and do some exercises like this for them, for that comic, so that I can, I don't know, go into it feeling a little bit more ready. I don't know. I'm kind of excited for that. And by kind of, I mean I'm really a lot excited for that. So, yeah. I think that'll be cool. Do like Icken and Grend and Lath and maybe even the Witch. Yeah, you can see I do a lot of skin tones down there on the bottom left. That's my color history thing. The bright ones are probably ones I used for sketches, because if I'm having a rough time, I will go through multiple colors just for my sketches, over and over and over again, until I feel like it's right. Or I drive myself insane. Either way. I liked this pose. I do like relaxed sitting poses. Casual sitting poses are my jam, and I wish I was even better at them, because that would rule. There's just something that I really like about them. Even sometimes, like leaning poses. Leaning against a wall, or whatever. I really like it. Here's me doing that finger thing again, just so I know that I understand the directions that the fingers are going. Figuring out that knuckle at the top. You can see the little dirt baby. You're so freaking cute. I drew them in a sketchbook a while ago, and this really important tree, and man, I just want to draw them again. Actually, I was drawing Rust the other day. Surprise. When I didn't have crazy amounts of work once more, and I really wanted to use my markers because I love them so much. So I was drawing with them, and I drew a bunch of Rust faces that I think I posted in my stories on Instagram. And yeah, I ended up drawing him, and I put the base tones down for his skin and hair and all that jazz. And yeah, I'm like super uber duper stoked to actually maybe finish those. Maybe I'll make a video today, I don't know. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm glad I could find the time to do this voiceover, because I was starting to think that my video was gonna be late for Tuesday, even though I did everything in advance. So yep, things just worked out. Right here I felt like this wasn't defined very well, so I just went back to that bigger brush that I was doing my sketches with and just defined a couple parts, just to break them away from the rest. There's a couple I probably could have done it a little more on, but I knew I was going to add the tone, so that was kind of going to do some of my work for me. I almost did a little touch of green. Oh yeah, if you don't hear the keyboard click, my laptop is erasing things on its own. It's doing the undo thing. I've taken the gestures off. It drives me insane. But it is what it is. It's okay. Kept deleting my layers and stuff, and I had to take those moments out because I would like sigh. I'd be so frustrated. I cannot handle that. I'm like, I am in a flow state, bro. Do not break me out of it. So, yeah. I just connected a USB keyboard for these. And anyone who doesn't know, I'm using a Wacom 1 pen, the EMR stylus. I really want to use one of the Stadler Norris Digital Jumbo ones? Yeah, I think that's the name of it. Man. Oh, I want to do this again. Sorry, yeah, this is fun. I spent hours and hours and hours. Like, this video was way too long. It took forever to edit. It took me an entire day, and I'm not exaggerating, from when I got up to, I think, what, after dinner or something, to manage editing and rendering this video. I usually have to do 2 renders. My first one is just so that I can watch it and do the voiceover at the same time. And then the other one is finished, fully edited, if it needs color correction, if it needs whatever. Plus the voiceover, plus the ending stuff. La 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 la. Yeah, and that one is the one that I upload. It's kind of funny to watch some of the weird scribbly yeah, right there. What? Scribbly shapes that I make just to indicate wrinkles and things. Hilarious. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do these shoestrings. Perfect, nailed it. I don't think I realized how much I do that, to be honest, in my quick sketches. They want outpace. Yeah, I love these little dudes. Actually, in my story, they're only there a little bit, in the beginning, and a little bit later on towards the end. But yeah, I see. I don't want to spoil anything. We'll see if I ever finish the story ever. I mean, I finished them in my head, and I know all of the important plot points and the tidbits that I need. I spend all the time thinking about it. If I'm at work, I'm thinking about a story. If I'm at home, I'm thinking about a story. Doesn't really end. So right here, I still had so many more poses, but I knew I was going to be able to complete them, and I needed to do videos, and at the time I didn't know I was going to split them up the way that I did. So, yeah, I just picked out some poses to be my very last ones, and that was it. I just pulled them and set them side by side. That was all I was going to be able to manage. This one I really liked. It ended up being so cartoony. I don't know. I kind of had a feeling it was going to be that way, and I don't know why it ended up like that. Just when I did the gesture, I thought, man, that just feels so graphic or something to me. But it looks the same as the others, so I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Then I changed it a bit, obviously, and it just became even more graphic. And I tend to draw the little dot eyes as an indication of where the eyes go. And because of how this pose felt to me, I kind of left them like that. I do that in my sketchbook, and I do that on my copy paper. So it was funny to do it here. It just felt right. So I needed to turn this because I was having a hard time drawing the face from that direction. I try not to do that too often, but when you've got the tools to make a better picture, when it comes to flipping the page or the canvas, I don't really see the harm. I do occasionally take pictures of my pages traditionally and just flip them on my iPod just for that purpose, because I don't want to make something too skewed, and I sometimes will. Just depends on how tired my eyes are, or how to practice I am. But yeah, he has one of those little dirt babies. They're just little sapling guys in the slingshot. He's going to slingshot it. It's wearing goggles. It's so dumb. I love it. All the tones are just on one layer. So I was drawing so many, so I didn't want it to get out of hand. I like doing poses where the knees knock inward towards each other. Yeah, this was an interesting one. I was kind of pushing it a bit more. I want to change the perspective slightly, but I did end up making his arms too long. And I knew in the moment I was doing it, and I was trying to remind myself that this was supposed to be kind of the pencils. And there are plenty of times where I just adjust those later on while I'm doing the inking. So hopefully that would be something I could fix later. Thank you, human driving way too fast down the street. Yeah, you'll be able to see the time in the bottom right. I kind of made sure that my screen capture was getting the time. Just so you know how much the poses were taking. Some of it is I will sit back and look at the screen for a little bit and just see what I've got going on. I do the same with paper, just so I can get an idea of the full page again, and I think that helps me. If I don't do it, I definitely come back and notice some issues later on. Yeah, this was just so valuable. I really liked it. Would recommend. The last melon. When I drew that gesture, I hated that leg. And I knew how to fix it, and I left it. Because I was like, no, that's not the point of this. It's to capture, like, kind of an essence of a pose, so that you can take that and make it your own. So whenever I went to this one, I immediately fixed that stupid leg before I started. I couldn't help myself. I knew I could fix it on the over-the-top bit. And then I was redrawing all of them, you saw. But for some of these last ones, I just copy pasted the gesture over, and if I needed to make minor changes, I did, and then I would just go over the top of it, because I was running out of time. I prefer redrawing it, personally, but if the proportions are close enough, I'll leave it. Otherwise, I think it's more valuable for me to draw it multiple times. Especially with minor changes, just to kind of show myself that that's something I can do. Because the brain's a funny place. So, definitely, mine's a funny place. And then I kind of forgot that I was going to draw his shorts underneath a little bit. So, I guess now he's just not wearing pants, like the model wasn't wearing pants. That's my bad. At least I'm pretty sure I don't end up putting the shorts in. Which is, yeah, it's fine. Maybe he's just wearing really small shorts. And then I wanted to put the antlers in the background of this one, which made it interesting to fit in. This is our last pose, guys. This one was fun. I love stuff like this. I have so many stories where there's like asylums and straitjackets and things like that. So here is the last part. This is just me getting everything to fit on a page together the best that I can. So yeah, I had to go through and copy paste all of those and just kind of set them up for the page. I really hope you guys like this. I really enjoyed making this video. It felt so nice. This was just pure therapy. There they are. I hope you enjoyed them. Here is everything. I'll show the full finished page at the end. Woo! So much rust. Yay. We did that. It took many hours. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. I really appreciate you watching. Have a good day or night, and bye.